Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We will first start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, I would like to ask the town solicitor to read the rules of order for the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would be happy to do that. The rules of the order for the meetings are set forth on the bottom of the second page of your agenda this evening, but I will read them again. Each person addressing the town council or any town commission shall identify him or herself by name and place of residence for the record, and shall address all remarks to the town council as a body and not to any particular member thereof. Each person shall limit their remarks to the matter under discussion, shall be permitted to speak only one time on any topic, and shall be limited to 3 minutes. A written statement in lieu of or in addition to verbal comments is permissible. No one other than a member of the council is permitted to enter into discussions without approval of the mayor. No members of the public are permitted to ask questions of any speaker while they are addressing the council or of a council member without permission from the presiding officer. All persons in attendance are participating electronically in the council meeting should conduct themselves in an orderly fashion. All persons shall follow the direction of the mayor. No disruptive behavior is permitted, and all electronic devices should be set to silent. And in particular, when we talk about disruptive behavior, from time to time we get people who say something that's funny. If it's me, it's okay to laugh. If it's somebody else, it's not. And no applause or booing for whichever side you're rooting for as we get into the public hearings tonight. Thank you. Sorry, I had that literally.
That's okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda is the public hearing, the first reading of an ordinance annexing into the town limits of the town of Ocean View of 27,852 acres, more or less, being the lands of the DRB Group, Eastern Shore LLC. We are being asked to annex land into the town of Ocean View, and I turn it over to Town Solicitor.
Thank you. This ordinance was previously applied for, I believe, just for clarity's sake, it's 27.852 acres, more or less. It is on Woodland Avenue. It is property owned by DRB. It is a rezoning an annexation application that is being pursued pursuant to the town charter and in accordance with state law 22 Delaware Code Section 101. If this property is annexed into town as applied for and in conformity with that law, it will include the 27.852 acres, all of the adjacent streets or roads. It will be rezoned to an R3 residential district, and if it is adopted by a majority of all of the members elected to the town council, it will not be effective until 31 days have elapsed from the date of the adoption, because it is an annexation of a tract of land greater than 5 acres. If during that 31 days, 33 1/3% of the registered voters of the town petition the town council for a referendum, then an annexation referendum will take place. That's 33 1/3% of the registered voters in the town. I think I got that right. So with those thoughts in mind, there was a public hearing held before the Planning and Zoning Commission within the last 3 or 4 weeks. At that hearing, a recommendation was made by the Planning Commission to the Town Council to adopt the annexation ordinance. This is the first of 2 public readings of this particular ordinance. This next reading will be conducted at the regularly scheduled meeting of the town council in June. July, excuse me. Can you hear all right? Okay, we'll do the best we can. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but hold the mic a little bit closer to you.
Well, I got two. All right, I'm going to pretend you're my ex-wife and I'm going to yell at you. I'm turning the floor over to Mr. Semino. Mr. Semino, do you have a report on this project?
I'm looking for it.
Ah.
I sent it down the hall, so I hope it's in here. You see it? No, that's the ordinance.
Well, while Mr. Semino looks for that, if Mr. Semino wants to join the conversation, wants to respond to any questions or comments that come up, we'll bring him back into this. I hate to even ask this question, Mr. Mayor, but we're going to have to find out. Are there any persons present this evening that have an interest in this particular annexation and the ordinance that brings it here? I thought so. Are there any persons present who would like to speak in favor of the application for annexation? I'm going to allow the developer and the developer's engineer to present a very short recital of why you're here and what you're doing. And then we'll get to the speakers. Yeah.
Thank you, Town Council. My name is John Severa. I am the representative for DRB Group Eastern Shore LLC, and thank you for hearing our annexation request. As you can see, my coworker Katya has some displays that we've displayed before. We will display those again to those that have not seen them before. We have purchased the plot of land as discussed, and we would like to develop within the town of Ocean View for many, many reasons, as discussed previously. We believe the town provides a safe area for folks to call home, making it very marketable from what the town has done with the police force, with the cleanliness of the town, with the safety, and with what Ocean View means, which is a great place to live. And we plan on bringing very quality homes to the area for folks to call Delaware home for those reasons. As you can see, we have made it a lush area throughout. There is more open space than the code requires. We are keeping the wetlands that are delineated with the treed area. We are not taking those down and building upon those. The amenities and the ponds throughout the community do provide nice streetscape as well. There is a tree buffer that will be around the perimeter of the community, which will be maintained by the homeowners association. And that's pretty much an overview of the neighborhood and what we're looking to do as a developer builder.
Let me ask you a couple quick questions, if you'll permit me.
Sure.
To the best of your knowledge, has Tidal Water Utilities provided you with a ready, willing, and able letter for this project?
Yes.
So they can provide potable water to whatever project
Yes.
would appear on that. And have you had the opportunity to do the same with the county engineering department as far as the sanitary waste disposal is concerned?
Yes.
And they have likewise indicated that they are able to serve and have the capacity to serve
Yes.
this particular project. How about Delmarva Power?
Yes.
The same is also true?
Yes. Same is also true.
And the Millville Volunteer Fire Company?
Yes.
And they likewise are able to serve
Yes.
the property in question. If you were to have this property annexed into town and you were granted the rezoning that is required, this particular project that we see on the drawing board is similar to, but not necessarily what it's going to look like.
Exactly. It's similar to, it's not the final stages. This is a concept plan for the community itself, but it can morph and change with requests of the town engineer and the town council and planning and zoning.
I often tell my private clients that there are 26 state agencies that have the privilege of commenting upon a particular project. And I assume at this point in time, you have not yet begun that process. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Semino, a couple quick questions. Perhaps you know the answers to these. Has the Office of State Planning and Coordination had an opportunity to review the proposed annexation?
Yes, they have. On June 6, our office submitted a municipal annexation plan of services application to the Office of State Planning Coordination as required by Title II Delaware Code, Section 101. The application included a copy of the planning and zoning report and the required willing and able letters from various service providers. We expect to receive an official letter, approval letter from the Office of State Planning Coordination this week. We did hear from Dorothy Morris via email yesterday indicating that we should see this letter this week.
And at the time of the public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission, was an analysis given to the town by the town manager, the finance director, and others about the benefits or detriments of having this project brought into town?
Yes.
And the project was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission, correct?
Yes, I have I do have the memo. It was sent to me electronically here, so we managed to recover it. And basically, it says from the Office of Planning and Zoning, from the Ocean View Planning and Zoning Commission, through me, through Carol Hout, through me, annexation report, county tax map number 134-12.00-470. Pursuant to the Town Charter, Section 4.102C, annexation of property more than 5 acres, attaches the Ocean View Planning and Zoning Commission report regarding the annexation of the above noted parcel. P&Z Commission recommendation is recommended that Mayor and Council proceed with the proposed annexation of County Tax Map number 134-12.00-47.00.
Anything else?
No, not at this time.
I'm going to open the floor to the, I think I've heard from the two people who are in favor of this application, so I'm going to ask those who are present who wish to speak. We're going to take you one at a time. I'm going to start and try to do, I think most of you saw this before when we were at the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm going to start on this side with Mr. Basin because I recognize him by name and face. And I would only ask that you not be repetitious. If somebody gets up and says that it's Tuesday afternoon and it's sunny, if 50 of you get up and say it's Tuesday afternoon and sunny, it is no more Tuesday and it is no more sunny because you repeat the same comment. So if you will, please try not to be too duplicitous. Mr. Basin, I believe you have some comments you would like to share with the council concerning this application. So if you would give me your name and address for the record.
Chris Basin, living at 15 Mitchell Avenue in Ocean View. Thank you. I'm in support of the annexation of the property under the conditions that the proposed zoning is changed to R1 and that the entire contiguous tract of forest on the property, which is about 7 or 8 acres, be preserved in perpetuity as public open space. I'm requesting that the ordinance be amended to reflect these changes by changing Section 1 to replace R3 with R1 and adding the protection condition as Section 4C. If these conditions cannot be met, then I'm not in support of annexing the property into town. And I want to talk about first the zoning. According to Section 140.14 of the code, a proposed annexation must be placed in an appropriate zone. I don't feel that the R3 zone is appropriate, and I think it should be placed in the R1 zone instead. The reason is that the proposed zoning conflicts with the zoning of the nearby developments. The change from R1 to R3 would be a major increase in the maximum site density for the area. And this would detrimentally affect those that chose to live and invest in an area based on its low-density zoning. The R3 zone is at its maximum twice as dense as the R1 zone, with up to 6 units per acre. And the surrounding communities of the town are almost all single-family residential. The R3 zone is at its maximum 4 times as dense than the base zone of the nearby areas of the county, which is AR1. I took a look at the town zoning map, and I could only find 2 other parcels that were zoned R3. So the addition, and they were small parcels, just a few acres of developable land in R3. So this would really increase the amount of dense development in town. And I think this is important when you take a look at the comp plan and the public comments that went into that comp plan. The public's major concern was growth, and overdevelopment shows up pretty strongly in those comments.
Hand corner of the development, we share a tax ditch with the fully adequate capacity for storage of water.
Question.
Sure.
You talked about the development of the property. Do you have a position on the annexation of the property?
My understanding is that once the annexation occurs, then the zoning status of that is fixed. That's my only objection at this point. The issue for me is density.
Fair enough. But you understand that if it's not in the town, it could be developed when it's in the county, correct?
I understand.
Yeah.
And you know, I would welcome the developer if the density weren't where it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you had 1 minute left. Way to go. And anybody else in the front row that would like to speak? Behind Mr. Basin is a young lady in a green golf shirt, I think. Do you have comments you'd like to make? Come on up.
My name is April Lovato. I live at 32625 Bellavia Court. I'm unfamiliar with the rules of the proceedings, so I...
Can you pull the mic a little closer?
Sure. I just wanted to say that I second. I'm not going to say it's Tuesday and it's Sunday. I don't know if it matters if we all get up and say the same thing, so I will save everybody the time, but our concern also is the density. And you said everything beautifully. I don't want to take too much time, but if you look at the surrounding developments around the property in question, I second what Mr. Basin said, basically. If the density changes to R1, I'm in support of annexation. As it stands, I'm not. Thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman, no comments? In the row behind the nice lady in the green shirt, 2 people are wedged in between 2 former council members. You couldn't have chosen worse seats. Mr. Olson, do you have something you want to add?
Bill Olson, 17 Elliott Avenue. Just to make the ordinance complete, you have to add what voting district they're going into. And it should be noted, it should be District 1. And as you mentioned before, the police, our police, will serve that, well, they're serving that district now, even though by rights it belongs to the state police to do that. And it takes them 30 minutes to come down here. So in essence, we'll have another spot in the area that the town police will be servicing, whether it's in the town or out of the town. Because once the county admits it, our police services it. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. Gentleman who was sitting next to Mr. Olson, do you wish to speak?
Hello, I'm Jack Blush. I live at 37492 Bellavia Way in the Reserves. There's a lot of my fellow residents from the Reserves here, and we live next door to this area that's about to be developed. One of the things that's brought us here to Ocean View is, especially in the off-season, it's a small town. One of our concerns, or my concern, is the infrastructure. And I'm concerned with a development like this, how the infrastructure will be stressed even further. I love the fact that our local police hide behind a storage shed to get, to pick up some income, because it's like a sucker play going down Woodland. And I wonder what would happen here. So I'm not opposed to the development going to Ocean View, but like the others, I'm opposed to the density, the R3. It just doesn't seem to fit. The Reserves, they did a great job of building a community that's comfortable in the area and supported by most. And I think this might screw things up.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There was a gentleman with a face mask on that I can't see anymore. Oh, do you wish to speak, sir?
Yes. Hi, I'm Steve Schwalb. I live at 37484 Venezia Court in Ocean View. It's also part of the Reserves. Main concern I have, other than what's been brought up before, is I'm concerned about Woodland Road. As was said, a lot of traffic on that now, a lot of bicyclists on it, a lot of pedestrians on it, 2 blind curves, and a very bad intersection at Woodland and Central, and a very bad intersection at Woodland and West. And I think the added number of houses that would be there and the appropriate cars that come along is going to create a tremendous problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The gentleman that just dropped his water bottle. I think you're the gentleman I saw in the parking lot, correct?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
How's the puppy?
Good.
Good.
Bill Bongiorni, 32623 Bellavia Court in the Reserves. Thank you for your time, first of all. I got a question for you, quick off. When you said that was conceptual plan, there's 107 houses there, is that the correct number, or proposed?
I answer,
Sure.
So, I'm sorry.
yes, 105.
And when you say it's conceptual, are there parameters? Can we go to 140 or can we go to 80?
All right, we're gonna, this is the opportunity for you to make a statement to the commission. We're not.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay. All right, well, that's my
But I'm
concern,
gonna
is that.
answer your question for him, okay?
Okay.
What this gentleman has given us is a concept plan of what he thinks he can do on this property in order to either effectively economically or otherwise comply with all of the land use planning and development requirements of the town. He thinks he's in bounds, okay?
Okay.
We are not reviewing that site plan as a part of this annexation. If he is successful, he then has to apply for a site plan for whatever project he proposes to put out there, consistent with the zoning district that it may or may not be. And at that time, we will get into the weeds of how many cars go by there in a per hour, per day, per week. We know that each of the agencies that I recited to Mr. Semino have all said that they're ready, willing, and able to serve, but then the finite details come into play.
Understood.
So when you look at that, I'm not telling you it's a decoy, because obviously nobody likes it, but but it is a concept plan only,
Understood.
okay?
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
But again, my concern was the density. If it's a certain number, that would be it. But the township, when it's annexed, so the township is assuming a lot of the cost, they're charging taxes accordingly for this project if it's annexed into Ocean View, right?
If DRB is successful in this application and in this annexation, they will have the joy of paying taxes to the great town of Ocean View
And the
at the
services
same
provided.
rates that everybody else will, plus all the building permit fees that are applicable to the construction of.
Suggesting building 0.7 over the R1 maximum per unit acre.
My question is, the difference between a townhouse and a multifamily dwelling.
It's just multifamily dwelling is
3 or more?
Well, multifamily dwelling is several things. They're townhomes, they're condominiums. They could be side by side, they could be stacked one on top of the other.
So would there be a
There
separate
will-
hearing?
I think I know where you're going now. If the
I
gentleman...
keep asking the same
No,
question.
that's all right. If DRB goes forward with this process, assume for a moment that they are going to be granted annexation at 31 days elapsed and all that, they then would, if they chose to go with an RPC, the zone, that's an overlay zone, and they would have to come back and make an application for the review of the whole project, the site plan, the adequacy of the streets, and any number of things that you all have talked about. Stop at that moment and start over again. They're going to come back and ask for the
That's what I was,
multifamily talked about. Stop at that moment and start over again. They're going to come back and ask for the
that's what I was.
multifamily.
Concern, and I should back up a little bit. I've spent most of my life preparing developments like this, testifying on both sides of the fence. One of my questions has to do with traffic studies. Has any traffic study been made to date? Do you plan to make any? Can the roads, Woodland and the other roads in the area handle the influx of additional, what do we say, 105 additional homes? I think the council and Mr. Sabino have an awesome responsibility. Whatever they decide, whatever you all decide, is going to be affecting probably at least 200 houses, maybe more, in the area. The traffic of Woodland and through that whole area is rather hazardous as it is right now. And whether or not this parcel of ground of 27 some acres
in there or something like that.
Mr. Semino, would you like to describe for this nice lady what's permitted use in an R3 district, please?
No 7-Eleven.
That's good.
Not even a Wawa.
I do have one other thought, and that is that in the reserves, we're in the back section, and we do not have our own mailboxes. So are they going to be able to have their own separate mailboxes? Because it doesn't seem quite fair.
I'll answer that.
She's an adjacent property.
Right now, all we're doing is talking about annexing 27.852 blank acres of land in the town of Ocean.
But it's not a problem because it would be something.
Mailboxes
It's a site
will
plan
be
issue
decided
when this comes
if this
up,
project
if it comes up.
moves forward.
Well,
We're not that deep into the weeds right now.
Right, but they're already being taxed right now. There aren't enough male individuals to service the community that we have already in Ocean View. So adding more would only add more fuel to the fire. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. Last call. Gentleman with the white shirt and the mask.
Mr. Mayor, they can't hear you.
A financial report from Dawn. I'm sorry, wait.
Replacement Trust Fund has $1,061,245. The Street Repair and Replacement Trust has $4,213,290. The American Rescue Plan Act, after the disbursements that were approved by council, has a remaining of $361,921, and we are anticipating receiving the second install by the end of June. And that will be another $591,000 that we're anticipating to receive. The reports that are required were submitted on April 28th with that information.
Okay, we are reopening the meeting. We had just been in executive session.
Mr. Mayor, let me make a statement for the benefit of the record. We went into executive session at 6:02 p.m. and have recessed from there, or returned from the executive session to the reconvened regular session at 6:47 p.m. The persons in attendance were the members of the council, the town manager, the town planning director, myself, and my partner, Ms. Faust. The subject matter